I think we can start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar Hong Kong, a leading hub and gateway for global family offices. My name is Luca Manelli. I'm an assistant professor in strategy and enterprise in families at Politecnico di Milano, and I will be the moderator for the whole webinar today. I'm here not just because enterprise families, family offices, family wealth, and wealth-owning families are one of my core areas of research, but also because I am the scientific co-director and lead researcher of the Family Office Observatory at the School of Management of Politecnico di Milano. Therefore, I would like to take just a few minutes to present the Family Office Observatory before giving the word to our distinguished panelists today. The Family Office Observatory, can you please also go to the other slide? Yeah, thank you so much. Is an applied research project that has an academic soul, but a practitioner audience. So we strive to develop an up-to-date picture of the main issues that are relevant to the development of the family office ecosystem and entrepreneurial families in Italy. Our mission is dual. On the one hand, we strive to support professionals in the wealth space and family officers to be able to guide wealth-owning families and entrepreneurs in making informed decisions about their own family strategy. On the other hand, our second mission, but of course not for importance, is that we strive to educate wealth-owning families and entrepreneurs to combine impact and entrepreneurship with preservation of wealth in the long run, as a function of capitalism devoted to innovation and responsibility. This observatory produces a report each year, and each year we focus on a specific topic. And so far we have been developing 3 reports dedicated to change in the family offices, diversity of the family offices, and purpose in the family offices. Can you go please to the next slide? This year topic, we are currently in the 4th year of operation of the observatory. We focus on the role of skills and competencies for family offices. And in particular, this year we want to focus on 3 main topics. The first one is the strategies. So how do family offices integrate and nurture talent and skills in their family offices? The second is the market. We want to give an up-to-date picture of what is the market for competencies for family offices, giving more details about search, integration, and remuneration in family offices. And third, we want to understand what are the careers for the family office professionals, what are the background, and what are the future that lies ahead for them. So in a nutshell, this is what we are going to do this year for the observatory. And of course, we believe this is a very interesting and important topic to delve into this year for the observatory. I think I have finished my brief presentation. I would like to give then the official kickoff of the webinar by giving the word to Zipo Lai, who is head of Family Office Europe of Invest Hong Kong. Zipo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luca, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time and appreciate all the distinguished speakers here to talk about Hong Kong this morning. So Hong Kong is a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China. And when a special administrative region, so that means we are in one country, but we have 2 systems. Hong Kong is completely independent in terms of all economic and trade activities. And we have a completely independent judicial system. English and Chinese are both official languages, and that applies to all aspects, whether in terms of legal documents, in terms of business documents, or even in terms of daily life. If you go to Hong Kong, you will see all the road signs and everything on the street, mostly in English and Chinese. Let me go to the next slide. And why Hong Kong for your family office? Hong Kong is known to be the pearl of the East. And one of the big reasons is that Hong Kong is an international financial center in terms of equities, in terms of bond, in terms of free flow of capital, which is very important, financial stability. We are also the largest offshore RMB center. And I want to emphasize this point. So the official currency in Hong Kong is Hong Kong dollars, which is tagged to the US dollars. And China has a different currency called RMB, but we are completely independent of that. And that's one of the cornerstone of Hong Kong's vibrant international financial market. Speaking of something more relevant for family offices, speaking of private wealth or family wealth, Hong Kong is by far the largest asset management hub in Asia in terms of assets under management. Right, this slide. Thank you. Hong Kong is the largest asset management hub in Asia, and we are actually number 2 in the world after Switzerland. If you look at the assets under management, it's we have in 2019 to 2021, it's US 4.5 trillion. If we fast forward to this year, we are the world's number 2, and we are positioned to surpass Switzerland in terms of asset under management next year. But let's say we are similar, but we are the asset management center of the East. We are also in the top 3 in terms of number of ultra high net worth individuals residing after New York and Los Angeles and London and maybe Dubai, but we are always among the top 3 or top 5. We are here today to talk about Hong Kong as a family office hub and gateway, and I cannot emphasize more that the Hong Kong government wants to promote the city as a hub for family offices. Since the end of COVID, the government has implemented different measures summarized on this slide to strengthen Hong Kong as a family office city. I would, given the short time here, I would just highlight one of them, which is the tax concession. We have a tax incentive to promote Hong Kong 0% Hong Kong profits tax for eligible family-owned investment holding vehicle. There are certain conditions to be met, which you can see at the right bottom of this slide here. But whether tax incentive and the other measures, everything is geared towards attracting family offices like yourself or your clients to come to Hong Kong. I should have introduced a bit more about my team. Invest Hong Kong is a government branch. We organize ourselves based on industry sectors. So I'm from the family office sector. I report to the global head of family office based in Hong Kong by function. I am based in Brussels, and I work with Hong Kong on a daily basis. So for example, when you go to Hong Kong or your client goes to Hong Kong, we have staff and management on the ground to support you from planning to set up to launch of your family office. And then later on, we hope that you expand in Hong Kong, invest more and more in Hong Kong, or invest in Asia through Hong Kong. I'll keep it short and I'll pass it back to Luca.
Thank you, Zipo. Thank you for the very informative presentation and for giving an overview of the many services that Invest Hong Kong is delivering to family offices, family principals, and enterprising families at large. I think this is very interesting because many times families are like confused among the different jurisdictions and complexities that having wealth presupposes. And of course, the provision of such 360 degrees of services is very important for supporting families in navigating the complexities of wealth around the globe.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Zipo. Let me introduce then the next panelist, Dr. Henry Hau, who is chairman and founder of HK Hong Kong Family Office Foundation. In the meantime, if you can, share the slides. Regarding let's say to the audience, I'm pretty sure you are as you are listening to this presentation, I'm pretty sure that now you're having in your minds a lot of questions. Just save them for the Q&A that we will have in less than 30 minutes, more or less in 25 minutes. Because at the end of this, let's say, session, we will have the possibility to interact directly with the panelists. So hold on tight. Henry, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Great to be here. I'm Henry. I represent the Hong Kong Family Office Foundation in Hong Kong. We're actually a group of single family offices. Family members consists of family members and also gatekeepers and investment managers in single family offices. We have currently 70 single family offices across Asia, from Singapore, India, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, and China. The purpose of the group, of the foundation, is to attract and to help any single family offices or family offices that are interested in to Hong Kong, and as a perspective from a family office rather than a service provider. So this is the key things that we do for the foundation. So next slide. So there's just three short slides that we want to share. One is the trend of what's happening in Hong Kong in the family space. The other slide, it's what kind of investments are people doing in Hong Kong, typical investments, and another slide, it's a typical structure of the family office, single family offices that operate in Hong Kong. So there's a lot happening after the government introduced new policies in Hong Kong, typically specifically to attract family offices to Hong Kong. One of the biggest attractiveness is the tax rule, which it's a structure that allows the family offices to settle in Hong Kong with zero tax, which kind of identical to the Singapore rules, but more flexibility on the rules. So there's few things happening in Hong Kong right now. One of the things that we see is there's a lot of multifamily offices opening up in Hong Kong. Part of the reason is because the recent aggressive immigration policies that we have in Hong Kong are attracting a lot of talents and investors coming to Hong Kong trying to get citizenship. There's a lot of these people, are quite well off on their wealth, and there is a huge wealth management needs. We're expecting a huge, wealth management needs in 2 to 3 years' time. So we see a lot of people are getting the licensing firm, a typical Type 9 license for a fund. management license in Hong Kong and to set up multifamily offices to serve the wealth. This is one of the trends that we see. A lot of investors are investing into multifamily offices. A lot of people are setting up multifamily offices in Hong Kong. This is one. The second thing is we are also seeing a number of single family offices that are set up in Hong Kong. Some of those are the Chinese families. We also see Australian families, Southeast Asian families that are coming to Hong Kong, and some of the Indian families. One of the reasons which we've just mentioned, it's the tax rules. It is zero tax on a single family office structure. The other thing is some of the family office, they actually considered Singapore, but at the same time, it's really difficult to hire a professional team down Singapore because talents pool are quite quite restricted, strict down Singapore right now. But in Hong Kong, there's a lot of professional teams, including service provider, that you can find in Hong Kong. So there is a talent pool in Hong Kong that are easier to set up, to work and set up family offices. The other thing is the cost is quite low in Hong Kong right now. Rent has been coming down, and there's a lot of bankers that is available in Hong Kong and finance professional that will be able to join the family offices. We also see a growing interest to the Chinese market because the stock, we are at a 20-year low PE right now. There's a lot of interesting corporates which are tech, VCs, private equity, which is in a discount valuation right now, which we never see in last few years. So there is interesting opportunities in Hong Kong and China, and we are seeing Hong Kong. It's the only gateway to China right now because a lot of capital inflows and outflows only passes through Hong Kong right now. So and we are seeing the importance of Hong Kong of being an international city for China. So a lot of investments from other Europe and the Southeast Asian part are coming to Hong Kong. So these are the flows that we see. Next slide. This is just a typical allocation that we do in Hong Kong right now, but a lot of investors in the family offices in Hong Kong, they are on real estates. Apart from real estates, they hold a liquid portfolio. Typically, a lot of them are in US dollar bonds because Hong Kong are pegged to US dollars, so we have a really stable forex rate with the US dollar, so a lot of people will invest in US. A little bit of stocks and alternative investments. Growing appetite on alternative investments. So a lot of people are buying hedge funds and private equity, so the percentage is increasing. And a lot of them are looking Chinese deals and also the international deals. So we are seeing a lot of fund flow too. On stocks, I mean, people are more neutral on stocks, Hong Kong, China stocks. Mainly on the US stocks, but I know a lot of families are offloading the US stocks right now as the valuation are quite expensive. So next slide. So we know what we invest and we know what the families trend are, and this is actually one of the typical example of a single family office who we work with. A lot of family members are using this, typically with a trust structure and a private trust. And then under the trust, they have their own, on the right-hand side is the operating company. Maybe some of the shares will be pledged. It will be a safekeep in the trust. And then will be the financial asset side. I mean, on the financial asset side, typically the investment manager like us will have a team to invest. Will form an investment council and committee to look at the financial assets. Most of them will be in private banks, but typically for a large family, we will diversify in private bank. We'll use Asian private bank in Hong Kong. We'll use this US banks. We'll also use European banks. So we don't put all our eggs in one basket typically. And if you look at the left-hand side, which is typical family office structure, usually we will work with the family members. There'll be a CEO, a COO who look at all the administrative stuff, and the CIO with all the teams that we have. Usually a secondary investment team, typically on equity, bonds, ethics, and also a private segment team which look at VC and private equity. So these are the typical structure of a family office in Hong Kong. So I guess that's all from me. So I pass it back to you, Luca. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henry. This was an extremely informative presentation. It was very interesting also from my side because it touched upon many different topics, such as why is Hong Kong an attractive location? What are the market factors, the tax factors, the legal factors, and how they play out all together in supporting family offices in making their strategic decisions regarding where to locate and where to operate and how to operate in Hong Kong and in other parts of Asia. And I really liked also the fact that you touched upon also the most recent trends in asset allocation by family offices and in some typical family office structures that you are witnessing in Hong Kong. So thank you so much. And I think some of the elements that you touched upon in your presentation will be picked up also in the Italian speaking roundtable, because these are very, very important for the strategy of families. Thank you so much, Henry. So let's move on to the next panelist in our agenda. I am very pleased to present Luciano Tattoni, who is a managing partner of CIGP. I will not say the French name because my French is not as good as I hoped for. CIGP is a family office that has many branches in different locations in the world. And Luciano is not just very skilled finance and family office professionals, but he's also a family member because he is carrying out and taking up the legacy of his own enterprise family. So, and we are very pleased to have Luciano here because Luciano will have and will do a slightly different presentation in the sense that he might touch upon why Hong Kong, now he's based in Hong Kong, why Hong Kong is an attractive location, but he will specifically tackle on his own experience, his own work experience and life experience as a family member and a family office professional in Hong Kong. So he will give us a slightly different twist to our own panel session, which of course will be, it is very well integrated with the previous speeches. So Luciano, very pleased to introduce you, and the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Luca. Thank you very much to Hong Kong Invest for having organized this session. I think let's get the suspense going very early on in the presentation. I've been here in Hong Kong for the past 13 years. So I like to say I have voted with my feet, and frankly, Hong Kong has become a second home for myself. And I'm very happy to have had the good idea 13 years ago to move over here. So I think being still here tells you a lot about myself and what I think about the city and its infrastructure and its ecosystem. But first things first, maybe if you move to next slide, please. I represent the third generation of the Tattoni family within CIGP Group. It's not easy to be the third generation. People say it's typically where things go either bad or very bad. So I'm trying to do my best to make sure there's going to be a fourth generation within our family business. And let me try to tell you a little bit more about who we are and why I'm here. So I'm Italian, Luciano Tattoni, as you might have guessed, from Piemonte, Tuscany. But I grew up the first 10 years of my life in Italy, in Milan. And early on, then my parents decided to move to Switzerland. So I'm kind of binational, Swiss and Italian. My experience then went on to finish my uni and to move to London to work for large investment banks. There I started with JP Morgan, moved to CSFB and then Morgan Stanley. And through my experience in London, I got to have an exposure to Asia, the Asian market, and its dynamic features. And this is when I was around 30, 31, that I decided to stop working for somebody else and join the family business and get closer to where I felt the new economical center of gravity of the world was moving towards, i.e. Asia. And for me, Hong Kong was quite obvious choice. I don't want to say the only choice, but quite an obvious choice because of several matters. First of all, coming from large investment banks, such as the one I evolved in previously, there's only one true global financial center based in Asia. If you exclude Tokyo, it's Hong Kong. For all corporate matters, everything happens in Hong Kong. All the infrastructure is here, the service providers, as Henry was saying, the entire ecosystem, the talent pool, everything is quite predominantly Hong Kong based. If you look at the stock exchange, for example, if I'm not mistaken, is the third or second or third largest stock exchange in the world in terms of liquidity and volume. And I think that drives a lot of why large corporates and companies revolve around Hong Kong. And so for me, coming from London, where you also do not have many international financial centers in Asia, probably there are three, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Singapore. But there's only one that is central in Asia that has the characteristics I mentioned before, and also has a regulated ecosystem that I knew pretty well because it is based on the UK model, in which I evolved for 10 years. Then for me, the choice was relatively easy. And I think most importantly, and one of the reasons that makes Hong Kong so special is the fact that really the Hong Kong Immigration Department, i.e. the people that allow you to come and work here in Hong Kong, are business-minded, or at least they're on the side of the business rather than on the side of the government, if I may say so. So all these factors, made me decide in favor of Hong Kong. Now, a little bit more about our business, because our business is a little bit hybrid. So I represent the third generation of our family, and so I'm now leading the family office globally. And really, we're Italians, we're Europeans. We know Europe before, and Our approach as a family office was really to try to preserve the capital and to invest it, to make more than inflation and management costs, and make sure that there was enough to leave for the next generation, and most importantly that we leave off our interest and not our capital. And so I needed to get closer to investment opportunities that were interesting, and this is why I kind of moved to Asia to get a better grasp, but to be closer to what was happening in the investment world, and that's what has led me here. The company was, de facto, if you go back a little bit in time, was created in Geneva, Switzerland, by my grandfather in 1964. Like many European families, we as well decided that it was good to, during the lead years, the anni di piombo, we decided that it was good to expatriate some of our family capital into a slightly more stable and secure jurisdiction, which was Switzerland. I think this was a relatively general trend back in the days. And this is how the business was started. So we divested. My grandfather had the good idea to divest some of the capital that we had invested in Italy and in our own, let's say, assets there, put some aside in Switzerland, and send his kids to study there in collegio, in boarding school. And that's how it all started in 1964. And from there, I think after a few years doing relatively well with some of the capital that he did, some of his friends gave him some money to do the same thing for him, but also for them. And this is maybe how we started being a financial services focused family, also partially speaking, at least, when some of his friends decided to give him money to manage, and maybe from a single family office, to go back to what Henry was saying, from a single family office, we became a multi-family office in today's world. And so on and so forth. I spare you the details of what has happened later, but from a single family office becoming a multi-family office, from a multi-family office becoming a broker-dealer and a fully fledged bank listed on the Swiss stock exchange. So our venture into financial services, or investing, grew considerably, and we decided to dispose as a family all of that in 2007, when we thought the world was getting slightly too complicated to own infrastructure, and we decided really to focus on what we knew how to do best, which was investment management, or private banking, or wealth management, call it the way you want. And I had nothing to do with any of that, because all of this happened before my stint within the family group. I only joined in 2011. So if you look at the slide that you have on the screen right now, fast forward now 13 years since I joined, and one of my colleagues, and before being a colleague, he was a really dear friend, and we spent quite a lot of years here in Hong Kong together, Alberto. We became from being a solely family business, a family and friend type business, and we expanded the type of services that we wanted for ourselves as a family. And really what we needed was having the ability to have both our personal and professional problems taken care of, meaning joining capability of knowing how to invest in the market and make returns in the market, together with the capability of helping our own operational businesses run better, get access to capital, have the right, cost of capital, etc., etc. And this is why CIGP Group, as it is today, is structured in the way you see in this slide number 2. So we have location in what we think are locations dear to our clients and our family. So London, Geneva, Milan, Dubai, and Hong Kong. And what does that mean? We're creating bridges between regions, Asia, Middle East, and Europe, because this is who we are. This is where we spend time. This is the markets we know, and this is the markets that our clients want us to help them invest there. But we did all this for ourselves as a start, and we built this infrastructure for ourselves. And then once we had this infrastructure put together, then you know, more and more clients started to come and wanted to work with us. So you can see we've been there since 1964. We are close to the number of employees changes rapidly, but I would say around 85 employees globally. We manage around $3 billion for 200 families, and the services that we offer them are there on the left. It's really wealth management, investment banking, private investments, and corporate services. You have more of details on the next slide if you move on, please. And in the interest of time, I'll spend maybe more time on the first two, which is wealth management. So for our own family, we need investment professional, a CIO, and a professional team to run investment portfolios. We have model portfolios that our CIO run. And the reason why we built such an ecosystem around it is that we realized that in order to have these portfolios managed professionally, we need to have a full-fledged team. So I have, I don't know, 15 people that work in research within CIGP, and then the CIO, a macroeconomist, et cetera, et cetera. So to retain these people, you need to pay them market prices. And unfortunately, we don't have enough capital ourselves to hire 15 people just to work our own capital. So we need a little bit of clients' money in order to be able to have these, to be able to afford that team. So, and in a similar way, we call here investment banking is really helping entrepreneurs that are basically the same people that have problems on the wealth management side, develop their business and get access to capital, get access to jurisdiction in which they want to find a joint venture partner, et cetera, et cetera. If you move on to the next slide, which I think is very important, is we do all this in a very regulated and very secure way. I spare you the details of what we do in the other jurisdiction, but you can see that on the left. But in Hong Kong, you know, we're a deposit-taking institution, and we purposely chose Hong Kong because of the simplicity of its model and the efficiency of the special administrative region here. And you may, you know, have. I mean, I'm European and I read European newspapers, and you know, sometimes you read stuff around Hong Kong and Asia that makes people relatively cautious. I can tell you that in the past 13 years, we were always handled in a very professional and fair way, and not treated any differently than anybody else coming from here or from mainland China. And most importantly, in the past 3-4 years, the rumor of the day is that things are changing in Hong Kong. I mean, maybe they are, but being on the ground here for so long, I haven't seen the changes on our end, and we still operate very efficiently and very freely and very securely for ourselves as a family, and with our own capital and the capital of our clients. So, you know, the space in which we operate is very secure. Maybe next slide is where we are. It's not so important, but the most important slide is the next one, which is blank, and which is about Q&A, because I feel I've been talking too much and for too long. So maybe you have some, there's some more of my experience that I'm happy to share if you have some questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luciano, for painting this fascinating picture about your life and CIGP. I think that many times, as we live in the present, people see the leaves and the branches, but do not see the roots. And you have been able to, see, not, painting the picture of what is CIGP right now, but also painting the picture of where does CIGP come from. And I think it is very important also to do that. As we open up the floor for Q&A, maybe I would like to ask a question by Stefano, who wants to ask the following question. The Italian press usually depicts a picture of Hong Kong that is fully managed by Beijing, with an increasing control and strict control over fundamental freedoms. And in your 13 years of staying in Hong Kong, have you ever actually noticed decreasing quality of life and decreasing freedom of speech, of enterprise, and of information? What is your experience on that?
So, thank you for the question. I think that's what's on everybody's minds nowadays. I think, like I was saying at the end of my little introduction, for me and for what we do, I haven't seen any change, so no change at all. Availability of information, access to anything you want is totally free and seamless. And therefore has not impacted at all the life of myself. And since I moved here, I found a wife, and now I have 3 kids. I arrived on my own with my backpack back in the days. So I'd say I have not seen any change also in, let's say, the cursus or the curriculum that is taught at local schools here. And, the history hasn't changed, as it should be, I guess. But I'm not in a sensitive industry in the sense that, I'm not a journalist, and I am not commenting on how government affairs are handled. And so for me, life hasn't changed. I am sorry, just got a phone call, sorry. But I guess for some other more sensitive industries, things may have changed with this security law being fully enforced for a few weeks now. But my life hasn't changed. The life of many local businessmen that are my friends and clients over here also hasn't changed. I think what has made the public opinion change about Hong Kong was mostly related to COVID measures and the strict approach of the government in order to curb the effects of COVID within Hong Kong, and therefore imposing quite strong immigration and rules and quarantine rules during the COVID. That has led to many families that were expatriates, i.e., with a job here, maybe a smaller minimum of family here in Hong Kong, but a wider family somewhere else, having to, make serious decisions because traveling was not possible. I don't know if that answers the question. Maybe Zipo can see what happens behind the scenes. I cannot, and maybe she has a better answer than mine.
Zipo, if you want to chime in and for 30 seconds or to add a thought, please do, if you want.
Thank you, Luciano, for your great answer. I don't have further information behind the scene. It is what it is, and I agree. I cannot agree more that in terms of availability of information or data protection, it's the same. How, as a business place, like I mentioned at the beginning, that we are under one country, two system. Hong Kong is completely independent in terms of economic activities, in terms of businesses. And I think my personal thought is that Beijing wants Hong Kong to be this way because it helps the country as a whole also. So my short answer.
Thank you, Zipo, and thank you, Luciano. Gianmarco, you have your hand raised, so if you want to add a final thought on this.
Yes, I have a very quick question for Luciano. Luciano, thank you for your insight. In the post-COVID area in Hong Kong, which is the biggest challenge you are facing?
So early on, well, thank you for your answer, for your question. Early on, the problem was to re-attract talent to Hong Kong, because people were a little bit skeptical as to, you know, what was the position of Hong Kong early on post-COVID. It wasn't clear, you know, there were like some back and forth as to we open up, no, we don't, we open a little bit, etc. So convincing talent, we're a very international or cross-border focused firm. So for us, maybe only 60 or 70% of our workforce is local. The rest is international. And so we need talent on the ground here in Hong Kong, because in terms of number of employees, maybe I haven't said that or shared that, but our historical headquarters is Geneva, but our central kitchen or our center of gravity is Hong Kong. We have maybe 15 people in Geneva. We have around 60 people here in Hong Kong. So we need people to be able to come here and to want to come here. And that was the first, most important challenge. I think further down the line now, the fact that some international professionals have left, some have been onshored in the various jurisdictions that they were covering regionally from Hong Kong. Many went to China, many went to Australia. You know, when we couldn't travel, the companies, larger companies, needed their staff to be locally based so that they could operate. So this is probably one of the largest problems during COVID of Hong Kong, and why people left, because they needed to be able to operate in the markets that they were covering from Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is only a relatively small market if you compare it to China, for example. So I think, you know, going forward, that the fact that some of these senior professionals have left has actually created an opportunity for us, because we've been sticking to Hong Kong, and has created a little bit of a vacuum that we could fill by being here, and being here for a long time, and people, you know, starting to trust us even when things do not go so well. Typically, that's when the foreigners leave. We haven't left, so people are considering us more of a local firm now. So that has created an opportunity. And then maybe the third part of my answer would be, you know, the typical worry of or challenge is to reassure people. And because back in the days when I arrived in 2011, you know, people were saying, great, you're in Hong Kong, tell me how I can come. And now it's like, you're in Hong Kong, but are you okay? Is it, I mean, how's it going? Because they've been under the, I would say, the Western media propaganda for a couple of years. And, you know, that is the first answer that I somehow need to deal with when, during the icebreaker at the beginning of the meeting, saying, okay, don't worry, you know, people, they don't eat kids here. Everybody's normal, like back in the days, everything is all right, you know? And so this is a little bit annoying, because when the counterparty that do not know the local jurisdiction or the local people have made up their mind, you can give them as many rational arguments as you want to tell them that what they're thinking is wrong. But it's difficult to make them change their mind. I mean, they have to come back and see it for themselves. And when they come, then it's like, oh, yeah, actually, you were right. And this is where we are.
Awesome.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
It was a great answer. Thank you, Luciano. Thank you, Zipo, and thank you, Henry, for your contribution to this first part of the webinar on Hong Kong as a strategic location for family offices.